someone bring them up, we can go ahead and get started addressing the issues as they exist. With the index card process, the purpose that we're using that for is because we're trying to address the recommendations, suggestions, or proposals in that order. I want to thank each of you for coming here today. I think that it's important that we all have a vested interest in knowing that these suggestions that have come forward from our self-study process are addressed very thoroughly and accurately, and if there's any questions you have about how those are being addressed, this is the opportunity to have those questions answered. Our SAC self-study, it is a committee process. Many of you have been involved in those committees and have committed a great deal of time to that process. That's what makes it a college-wide effort. That's what makes it a college-wide response. Our college has completed a self-study process of which we can be very proud. Thanks to each of you who have been involved. It's something that one person cannot accomplish. As much thanks as go to Bobby. Bobby would not have done this without each of your support and the involvement that you have had. A self-study is at its very minimum based on the must and should statements in the criteria for accreditation from the Commission on Colleges of the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools. For every must statement, which our self-study has shown that we don't meet, there will be a recommendation that is being made by our self-study process, and we will be responding to those recommendations. For every should statement, there will be a suggestion. We tried to outline this process over here. For must statements, there will be a recommendation. For should statements, there will be a suggestion. And for those things which our college has just identified need to be done, there will be a proposal. Our SAC self-study here at Thomas Nelson has gone beyond what is required by the Southern Association. We are only required to address the must and should statements. We've gone beyond that in coming forward with proposals that we think need to be accomplished at our college that aren't addressed in the must and should statements. So we've taken it a step beyond what the Southern Association requires that we do. Another thing that we've done at Thomas Nelson is that we have implemented a planning and implementation committee. The planning and implementation committee is another way that we've gone beyond what the Southern Association requires. The College Council will serve as the planning and implementation committee for Thomas Nelson. I will serve as the chair of this committee, and I will be the catalyst that keeps the efforts rolling toward these recommendations, suggestions, and proposals to be sure that we complete what we have proposed in our action plan. This is our self-study document. This is our executive summary. The executive summary includes a narrative in the front, which gives a description of what has happened from the time that we completed our self-study until the time that we were ready to have this visiting team come here on campus. The second section in that executive summary is the action plan, and it lists each of the recommendations, suggestions, and proposals by item number. Try to show you an example over there. CRIV1 stands for College Recommendation 4.1. The R stands for a recommendation. That means it came from a must statement. The IV addresses the chapter in the self-study that it comes from, and the 1 is the sequence in which it falls. That's the number that we're asking that you put on your index card if you have one that you'd like to have addressed, that complete number that is tied to the one of your interest in. And then put the page number that it appears in here, so we can all flip to it and follow along with what the response is. We're going to monitor the progress that is made toward answering each of the recommendations, suggestions, and proposals. Today, we are here to respond to the recommendations and suggestions and proposals that you indicate are important to you. We're going to start with the recommendations. If there are any, we have no cards that have been passed in. We have one. Okay. We'll start with the recommendations, and then the suggestions, and then the proposals. This one is a proposal. Do we have any recommendations? What our process will be is that we're going to note today any concerns that you have with regards to the response, and then we will consider those concerns as we address the action plan. Some of the things that will have to be considered are the budgetary constraints that we may be operating under. If we get into extensive discussion, and this may be overkill on our planning part, We felt that there was an issue that we were discussing for more than 5 minutes. We wanted to provide the opportunity for everyone to get their particular issue addressed. So if the issue, a discussion on one particular issue goes beyond 5 minutes, I'll cut off the discussion, we'll note what your concerns were, and then we'll ask that you follow up with the individual that's responsible for that. The people that you see seated at the table here in front were the individuals who were asked to take administrative responsibility for a particular recommendation, suggestion, or proposal. Obviously, you see we have our college president, our college deans, and then Mike Quaney, Eileen Schweitzer, and Jack Hill have been asked to respond. Usually it's been on behalf of the president to a particular item that was in that area that they had assumed a lot of responsibility for in the college. We also have a lot of people within each of the divisions who have done backup work behind this team that's at the front table. We've asked that they be seated in the audience and available to respond on a more detailed level if you have any concerns. On page 14, if you want to turn with me. College recommendation IV4. How do we measure the effectiveness of our speech components? And how can that be completed? Dr. Dolchin?
First, we have about 8 recommendations or 8 must-statements, 4 should-statements, 37 proposals. And what we've done is created a timeline for implementation for those of you who are interested in seeing these proposals and recommendations.
And you need to talk a little louder. Okay, some of the back can't hear.
What I wanted to share with you is that we have close to 50 recommendations, proposals, and suggestions. And because we have so many, we have designed for you and for your information the topics that we are looking at. And you may have a copy for your file. If you'd like to ask any questions about it, I'll be happy to answer. The second important thing that we created is for the Division of Instruction that each of us will have is the notebook concerning each one of these recommendations and proposals. And we're going to document how we implement it. And there'll be a copy in the SACS office, and each administrator in the Division of Instruction will also have a copy. And I think this will be very helpful to the SACS business team. Now I'll proceed to answer the first, which pertains to oral competencies, to ensure oral competencies. Well, since 1988, our occupational technical programs have specific oral competencies within the programs. However, there is one in the area of communications and humanities where computer graphics and photography did not have specific oral speech components. The English course of study now has an objective which includes the oral competency part, and there will be, after the objective, an evaluation within the course of study to demonstrate that particular competency.
I might add a couple of points on that. One is that in those curricula that you mentioned, our faculty have just recently changed that requirement to a speech course, and that will go into effect with the 1996-97 catalog that's been communicated to the curriculum committee. Secondly, that as far as the question regarding measuring the outcomes, what difference does it make that people take those courses? The speech faculty next year, they have agreed under the leadership of the program head, Gary Echols, to engage in a disciplined study on speech and take the lead in that regard. That has to deal with that refers to another one of the proposals that our suggestions that we engage in discipline reviews as well as program reviews. So speech is going to lead off, and they will be working specifically on student outcomes in speech. They will be looking at pre-testing or pre-assessment, what the students come in with, and post-assessment, what the students go out with, and measuring distance. We're lucky in that Gary Echols has a considerable background in this particular area and will bring that expertise to bear on this particular issue.
Related to the discipline, we're going to have a pilot study for economics, sociology, and speech, in which the faculty in those particular disciplines will get together with the administrators to come up with a discipline review. Because what's happening in the country is that there's more and more focus on general education components and outcomes.
Any other questions regarding that item?
And the last item in the area of engineering, they're using 115, which has an oral competency component.
And we'll turn now to page 23. The next one we were asked to address is college recommendation, Roman numeral 5.2. This states that the committee recommends that the statement of student rights and responsibilities be developed and included in the student handbook. The question that has been raised is, will this address abuse to equipment and facilities? And how will we begin to address those issues as quickly as possible? The student statement of rights and responsibilities, Dr. Dolgen and I both have developed kind of a compilation of responses from various colleges and the rights and responsibility statements that they have, respect for and maintenance of the facilities is something that is addressed. It is something that is important. That type of abuse of equipment and facilities should not be allowed to continue, and we'll note this as a concern we need to be sure is included in that. The statement of rights and responsibilities is in the process of being developed now. It has not been finalized, so this type of input can definitely be included. Any other questions regarding that particular one?
I'll have to cut.
Okay. Any other recommendations you'd like to have addressed? We'll pass those in. We're moving now on to suggestions. Okay. The next suggestion is on page 15. It's college suggestion, Roman numeral 4-1. Dr. Dolgen.
One of the major issues at this institution is the number of committees, standing committees that are assigned to the faculty. I surveyed the entire great many colleges here in Virginia and found that there was really no statement that they had. Irregardless, what we've done is created a policy statement that we are going to forward to Dean Wolf, who's the coordinator, and in turn, she will bring this policy statement before the president's staff, and then I will sit with the executive committee of the faculty senate and discuss the number of committee that faculty should have, because we're trying to ensure the fact that faculty have enough time to pay attention to the core of the institution, which is the teaching process. So if we pass this, we will be the only college in the entire state to actually have a policy regarding the number of standing committees.
The next item, Ann, is college. Any questions on that item? Okay, the next suggestion is college suggestion 4.2 on page 15 also.
I'm really pleased about this. This is a very comprehensive package that we've developed. And once again, you won't find any college that has this in the Commonwealth. The issues that we are addressing are as follows. One, the maximum number of course preparations that an individual faculty have. The minimum time that that person comes the next day, because it's very difficult for faculty to have a class late at night and then have an 8 o'clock class in the morning. That's the third issue that we're addressing. There are two more. Trying to let me just look it up. Do you have that in front of you? Because I know what it's about. Oh, and the next one deals with that on Thursday, that we're going to try not to have classes between 2 and 3:30 p.m. so that we can utilize that frame of time for committee meetings. Because when we do have a limited number of committees in place, it's the faculty members' responsibility to do their share of participating and contributing to the committee. And we don't want class time to interfere. However, there are certain classes in the Division of Engineering and Technologies which this would be very difficult to do. But this would be a minimum compared to the total of the entire college. So we have this comprehensive package that we have in place. We are forwarding the implementation process to Dean Wolf, who in turn will present it at the President's staff meeting, and then I will hold negotiations with the faculty senate, the executive committee. Tom?
Dr. Belgian, is there any discussion of an entire reorganization or re-engineering of the both college and the college-wide faculty committee structure? In some ways, it strikes me that the committee structure is probably 10, 15, 20 years old and doesn't meet many current needs and requirements. It's addressing a structure that of needs 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Well, what we have here is you're talking about a total-wide college governance process, which falls under the purview of our college president. And we're just addressing the numbers of committees. There are committees within the faculty senate list of standing committees. So you have to look at that structure, and the division of instruction by itself cannot do that. All of the various divisions across the college needs to address that. And
That's why I was wondering maybe if the college council is...
Let me respond to that. We are looking at that issue among others. You can anticipate with the fiscal environment that we're operating in, with the fiscal impact of the retirements on our operating budget, with just the need to look strategically at our organization again, and we'll be looking at the organization of the college in general. And that's part of what we will start to talk about at a college meeting that we're holding on April 20th. So I hope everybody here will be there and have a chance to talk about issues like that.
Bobby?
Dr. Belgian, was there anything in your plan regarding accountability of faculty and staff that are placed on committees?
yes, we're building that into this particular structure of the plan.
And Bobby, I think that's really a good question. As we look at the issues that we're addressing in the self-study, there has to be some type of balance. As we look at the institution, how it functions, the issues that are emerging, accountability is a major issue that surfaces from all components of the college family. So we'll have to look at that as we address any of the issues that come up in the self-study process.
For those of you who have arrived late, we're passing in cards that give the number of the college recommendation, suggestion, or proposal that you would like to have addressed as it appears in the executive summary and the page number that it appears on. So if you haven't gotten yours in yet, if you'll pass those to the end of the row, we'll get them addressed as quickly as possible. That's all the suggestions that we have to be addressed. Did anyone else have a suggestion they would like to have addressed? We'll move on then to our proposals. First one is college proposal on page 10. College proposal 3-1.
if I were to step back to my initial visits to this institution, going all the way back to October, morale would be a major issue that continually surface. One of the issues that we discussed a lot in the president's staff and in the college council is morale. And in fact, I had asked Dr. Wolf, as chair of the implementation committee, to go through the executive summary and point out those items that would address morale, and we would give them particular attention. Well, she came back saying that meant everything in here. That in fact, every item in this booklet had to be of concern to someone in the group. One of the problems with morale is that there's so much perception involved in people's feelings. So I thought a lot about this, and I wanted to say to you today that my pact with you as president would be to address the issues in this executive summary. And all that I would ask from you is that if we address them, that your morale would be up. So that's my commitment to you. Wendy, as chair of the implementation committee, will be monitoring that. And I thought we might even have a thermometer like they do in the United Way and keep a record of how things are going. Just if you'll make that agreement with you, you'll address morale. Thank you.
Dr. Pippins also said after today's meeting, she wanted a positive statement on one of these cards from each one of you before you leave, something good that has happened. The next one is on page 6. No, 26, I'm sorry. Didn't read mine. Page 26. College proposal 5-3.
Assessment that we have undertaken periodically to determine if the current staffing levels of the library are adequate to meet the student needs. We have addressed this in a number of ways, one of which was a recent library survey to determine whether the students' needs were being met through the library hours, through our services, and so forth. And the feedback from the students was very positive on that. One of the, I don't want to call this a hidden agenda, but I'll just go out right out and say that. I think a hidden agenda that we're dealing with here is the Sunday opening of the library. You will be interested to know in the student survey that we recently conducted that the Sunday hours were not the most highly desired hours that the students expressed a need for the library to be open. We do want to express our commitment to the non-traditional students and express our commitment to meeting the needs that they have at all times. So we take this proposal very, very seriously. We also wanted to look at the way the staffing levels have been stretched to meet the needs in some other areas of our service responsibilities. For instance, as you are aware, some of the library staff has been temporarily serving in the academic computing lab. We had hoped that that would be for a short time basis also. That condition has not changed. However, I believe with the new administration and some of the studies that are being done to reevaluate the needs of the college, that will be addressed very shortly. So the staffing level of the library is still at a crisis stage from our analysis that we've undertaken recently, but we're confident that we'll be able to work towards resolving those issues very soon.
Any questions? Bobby?
Do we match the new ACRL standards
No,
for staffing?
No, we do not. But as you will note with the new criteria that came forward to SACS, they cautioned us that we cannot simply use the standards of professional organizations to benchmark ourselves against. So we have to monitor other things such as user satisfaction and elements of the services that we're offering. So we do have to take all of those into consideration.
That was my concern, the fact, I don't know what new is going on in terms library, we were very, very concerned about the staffing. Wish those people would be removed from academic computing and back into the library. It was just a priority to me that if you've got periods of time in the day where there is no reference librarian on duty other than work study, there is a problem, a priority. I don't care what the surveys say. It just seems important to me. And I don't want that issue to be lost. I wanted it higher than a proposal, but it's got that particular level. I hope it's still looked at very carefully because I'm really concerned.
Any other questions? Okay, if we can move back a page or a couple pages to page 19. College proposal IB 13. Dr. Dalton. I think the particular concern that was addressed on this part was seniority in that issue.
First of all, let me say this. The adjunct faculty are a very important component of this institution. Without them, we would be turning students away. There were a number of adjunct faculty issues that we've addressed. One had to do with salary. That's the one I'm looking at now. VCCS 29 outlines promotion and rank, as you know, based on academic preparation, years of teaching, and related occupational experience, professional activities, scholarly activities, etc. Very difficult for an adjunct faculty to accumulate years of experience in VCCS-29. We've come up with a proposal trying to recognize years of working experience and relate that to total teaching experience. We've come up with a proposal, and we are going to forward it to Dean Wolf, and then it will go to the president and staff. And but they will fall within the VCCS 29 guidelines. And so we think this is an important issue which we're trying to address under the circumstances. There are other adjunct faculty issues that also involve the issue of professional development. And I've written a letter to Dr. Anne Marie Parton regarding this. She said that adjunct faculty are free to partake of statewide professional development activities within their disciplines, just as full-time ranked faculty members. And within the college itself, we are making a commitment to provide professional development. They have the same kinds of opportunities as our full-time faculty. So we address those two issues.
Question, Chairman?
Just one quick question. I'm not quite sure you formatted here, but some of us have to pop in and out because we have classes. But I raised the question regarding this because of the fact that I don't think the full-time faculty is not pay plan, not based on seniority. In no way. The promotion plan, of course, is based on seniority, but not the pay plan. It just didn't quite seem to be parallel. At least question one, do you have a part-time faculty plan based on seniority, and the full-time plan is not based on seniority. Now, I know the promotion criteria is based on seniority. You have to have so many years in a certain time to promote to the next grade. We also know that the part-time ranks are equivalent to the full-time ranks, the actually 1 or 2 solve quickly. It would appear to me that the promotion criteria ought to be based on seniority and not necessarily the salary criteria. The salary criteria ought to be based on total years of experience, but not necessarily seniority. And I just question the use of the term seniority in this regard, since the full-time plan is not based on seniority. Also, another question that I read in the self-study, that you say something about salary being set based on incremental basis. That has never been established, to my knowledge, here. There's no increments within the ranks. I missed out on it, yes. Still not great, yes. And I just noticed that it stated in the self-study, not in the action section, but it stated in the self-study. And I maybe I missed some of the hearing back to the area issue. But that's only my question.
Any other questions? Okay, return to page 28. College proposal 5-7. Dr. Knowlton?
One of the important issues is that the Learning Resource Center be a very progressive area of information. And I have been working with Eileen on this. We talked about creating a Department of Technology. She has submitted an initial report working with her staff. And we're currently in the process of examining and seeing how we can implement this. But of course, with this current situation of some people retiring at the end of the month, we may have to re-examine that proposal in light of that, because we don't know how many staff will take advantage of what the state is offering right now. So we may have to start again, because that will impact potential retirements and people leaving. This is our plan. Would you like to add anything?
I would like to say, since we're talking about a long-range plan, we do need to look at several factors. We need to continue a dialogue with the college-wide community to make sure that we get input from all the constituents. We need to address a position, an individual who would have the authority and responsibility to carry out such a plan. We need to look at the role of the existing telecommunications committee, which does not have authority and responsibility, but so far has been acting as a clearing board and a catalyst. So this is a fairly complicated procedure that will not see results overnight, but the process is occurring, and we have made progress.
Any questions? Okay, on page 31, college proposal 5-10. Dr. Gulcher?
As you know, we have a number of aging computers on campus, and under ETF monies, a great number of new 486s will be coming in. We created a subcommittee with two things in mind. One, to assess the existing older computers to make sure that they are in good working condition. Secondly, we have ascertained from each of the various divisions and even from some of the administrators of student services the numbers of computers that are desired by individuals. And third, we're looking at the number of upgrading needs that we need for these computers. So we have a holistic plan. And once the new computers come on board, computers will be distributed. Big challenge will be, as you know, this summer with Windows coming in, many of our computers will automatically be activated. And the second issue is to move along and continue to network between faculty offices. And this is part, of the plan. So we're making a start, and this has to be an ongoing process. Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, with relation, Dr. Dolgen, to two things. What's the status of the hiring of the P14 computer technician? Secondly, the computer repair certificate program seems to be in some jeopardy. Can you address that?
Okay. First, Eileen interviewed a number of people last been very fortunate that two faculty members are on release time, Don Dunn, as well as Bob Kent, who are working with individual faculty members to upgrade, their computers. This is a work spirit, fortunately, that we have within the college of people contributing their time in the milieu of, low budget. But that's not the answer. We need to get full-time people to do this. Regarding the personal computer, what's happening is this: we assess that there's an evolutionary process that's going on very much like the VCRs. When hardware becomes broken down, that many people are not bothering repairing many computers. They'd rather replace them because the cost of labor is so intense. And this is adversely affecting our personal computer repair program right now. And what we are doing is, Bob Kent is taking a look at changing some of the courses, creating a more service-oriented type of approach. And we're going to experiment probably with a course in the next academic year, hold it on a weekend to see what it is. But we have to redesign. Not only are we experiencing low enrollment in that particular program, but other colleges are tapping the same way. It's related to the process of the cost of hardware coming down.
To put all the questions about technology into context, and again, I think it's being indulgent when we're saying all of these decisions we have to make in the fiscal environment in which we exist. In my mind, technology is a number one priority for this institution. We cannot continue forward in a fragmented, uncoordinated way we have been. So if that helps, that is in my mind.
Any other questions? The next one is on page 34. College proposal 515. Yeah, addressing computing and
This ad hoc telecommunications committee, its tasks were created by President Templin, and we've been very fortunate to have Eileen Schweitzer as chair. So this cuts across the entire college, not just the division of instruction. And on top of that, we now have a statewide plan coming from the chancellor, in which there's supposed to be a comprehensive long-range plan. We're doing a number of things, not only on the academic side, but on the administrative side. And that is to have more reliance on PCs having voice data and other informational data. As an example, we have regional mainframe computers. There are two of them. The long-range plan from the chancellor is as follows. One, to eventually replace one set of mainframes and have PCs, and then eliminate the second, taking the various personnel that are working in the Virginia Community College system in Richmond and distributing these particular people throughout the college, because there's a major problem. Why should they be up in Richmond? Let's utilize them at each institution. So that's an important plan that all of us have to be aware of, because that's going to have an impact on us. And within the college, I'd like to turn that over, because that involved having a consultant. It was long range in nature plus short range, and it was so important that President Temple initiated this particular committee.
I think if I may address that, again, I'll refer back to my previous statement. When you're looking at this long-range plan, you're talking about a very comprehensive procedure. So we don't want to predict what's going to happen to the institution due to the financial uncertainties at this moment. However, I think we can discuss discuss with some degree of certainty that we will have college-wide hearings again to receive input from all of the college units, that we will at least need to hire an engineering consultant to do some of the level of technical detail required. And as far as the institutional reorganization that will result from this long-range study, I don't think anyone can predict that right now.
Any other questions? Okay, if we turn to page 45. Just so you don't think the particular item has been missed, if it came up a little late, we're going to go back and address those that are before this in the document when we get through the first list. College proposals 6, 7. Any Calvert?
Since the late 1980s, we've known that fiscal plan, the one program area, back to normative data, not only from the KUBO, from the APA, Standard American Fiscal Plan, even in Southern Association standards. At any time you fall below a first quartile level, you've got a funding problem. We've known that from the very beginning. In 1990, we had a plan to come forward to address that. You all remember what happened in 1990. All other program areas in college, with the exception of one program, are at the second, third, or even exceeding the third quartile level of the Southern Association plan standards. Normative standards for planning exceed certainly the level of Thomas Nelson's. We are below the first quartile level. That's an area in terms of expenditure that we're going to have to correct. We've expected for that to really be a recommendation. I know that the Southern Association on their accredited teams, anytime you fall below the first quartile level, it's an area that may be concerned and could well even turn into a recommendation. So we certainly will be expecting to address that at the earliest possible time. However, the kind of reallocation of resources that it requires within the institution, because there are no new funds, will require a dislocation of resources and makes that decision a very difficult one. It's one we've been aware of for some time. It's one we know we've got to address. The only question now is how do we address it? As far as the parts of the plan in terms of standards, been a great increase in terms of performance and satisfaction of client users in terms of building maintenance. The housekeeping is still very problematic. Ray Ward and I, as late as last week, talked about the possible transition of housekeeping in terms of outsourcing, which the state itself is pressing us to do and consider, and we will be considering that. So there are a number of plans out here to remediate that concern, but I certainly stand here and say it's a major concern with me, and I know it is here on this campus. Ray, do you have anything that you'd like to say to that issue?
Any questions? Okay, we're going to move back to page 15. And this particular item is a recommendation. On page 15, college recommendation 4-6.
One of the strengths of this institution compared to other institutions is a very thorough process of hiring new faculty. Not only do we have an interview process, but we have some kind of classroom presentation, and that's exceedingly important. And I thought it was an excellent recommendation. How do you ensure the written competency of potential new faculty? So what we're going to be doing is to add a sentence to our APM proposal, which is this. After an individual makes his or her presentation, that individual be required to write an executive summary of that particular presentation, and that will be part of the interview process, and that should ensure the written competence part. Simply because if you get letters from people and resumes, that can be pre-prepared away from the institution, whereas this will be part of the classroom presentation or any other kind of demonstration of the written component. So what we are doing is forwarding this recommendation, which we've already created, to the and we're ready to push that through the implementation process.
Any questions? Okay, if you'll turn to page 16, we have three that are of interest on this page. College proposal 4.2. Dean Dolan.
So I'm going to stand up here. 4.2. This pertains to information about the hours of the academic computing unit. It's featured within our course schedules, and there is a statement within the college catalog. Now, we also have stated that students should be aware that sometimes these hours may change, and the hours are always posted in the area itself. Would you like to add anything?
And the next one, Dean Dolgen. If you have any questions on that one, is college proposal the same page, 4.3? And then 4.4?
4.3, I have just sent a memo to Dr. Vic Johnson, who's president of the Faculty Senate, asking the Faculty Evaluation Committee take a look at our non-traditional courses, as an example, telecourse and design and evaluative instrument. This is important because faculty must take ownership of this process. But this particular committee should consult those individuals who are the non-traditional courses to get their input and not do this in isolation. The 4-4 deals with student evaluation and what's done. I've also sent a memorandum to Dr. Vic Thompson because evaluation issues are a prime concern of faculty. The recommendation that I'm making to the committee is on the self-diagnosis form to put a statement of how faculty utilize information received from student evaluation. Any questions? Yes.
When do you expect this to be implemented? Right away?
No, can't they, because you have to have the governing process through the faculty senate, and the committee has to first come up with the recommendations, and then you have to have the entire faculty senate needs to have a forum and a discussion. And this is a recommendation on my part. Faculty will have to address this because faculty at this particular institution take ownership of evaluation of themselves as well as courses of study. So I hope the faculty will be responsive and do this, and not wait 2, 3, 4 years, but
But
do
it
this.
could be done right away.
Yes.
Go back to another question about actually special. I've submitted a suggestion to you regarding item 4.6. Can you pass that on to Jim?
Right. The suggestion was in the candidates, when you're requiring a candidate, when a candidate is here for the interview process, to require that they submit a sample test in addition to the lecture.
I find that's very important. The teaching is also one important part of teaching is testing. I think that would be included as one of the parts. Incidentally, we've been doing it, getting away with it. I know we're not in policy or not, but we've been doing it.
As I said, I think the hiring process that we have for new faculty is excellent. And the proof is in the pudding in this sense. Out of 105 faculty members, we have in the last 5.5 years hired 18 new faculty members. And these faculty members are turning out to be the leaders of this institution. So I think we have an excellent process in which the president partakes in meeting the finalists. I take a specific interest in it right from the beginning, and I interview candidates as well. So I think your suggestion will only strengthen what we already have. So we have a good process in place. All we have to do is just add additional strength. And I thank you for your suggestion.
One of the comments that was made, and also on the student evaluation of faculty, number 3 and 4, was that we don't have student evaluation in programs of faculty, but we have faculty design the forms for student response to teaching rather than evaluation.
Well, I think that was I shouldn't say that. What the students do is talk about what they like about the course. Is that what you're referring to? And offer suggestions. Whoever asked that question, if you could elaborate on that, I'd be happy to answer.
Well,
Yes.
I guess what my concern, it is just a matter of semantics, I suppose.
Okay.
But it does mean, to me, there's a considerable difference between saying that the faculty are being evaluated by the students. In other words, a formal process by which their continuation at the school is being determined in part by the students. Not that that's wrong, but the faculty senate, to my knowledge, has never agreed to that. That they had it was supposed to be a student response to teaching, which we were supposed to take and use to improve our teaching, and yet throughout the document it says faculty evaluation by student. And I don't think the faculty has ever officially agreed to that.
I think what's very important is that we learn from students. That's the critical part. And they can look at how our teaching techniques, the kinds of textbooks we have, the kinds of units of instruction. And if we use those responses to improve our courses of study and the way we teach, it's a very constructive viewpoint. Because if you use it as an evaluative tool, then there's a danger there. And I see where you're coming from, because sometimes students equate their grades to how they view an instructor, whereas student input becomes important to help us become better instructors. So
If it was in fact an evaluation, then the student should own that evaluation and sign their name to it. As an anonymous recommendation, to me, it's not an overly useful evaluation tool, because the student does not need to take ownership of what they write, and frequently do not.
Well, this is a philosophical point that I could debate with you. We have to protect students, because I meet a great many students, and they're very fearful of their instructors. And they're fearful of retaliation. So you have to look at the other side of the desk. And that's why some of the input that faculty members receive is after the course is over. We're trying to build strength from the student's point of view, that he or she could be honest and open-minded, and we're trying to look at the faculty member to accept constructive criticism. You have to weigh that and do the best you can. Right?
Yeah, I was going to say the actual tool itself has been named student reaction to instruction.
Yes.
And it's a matter of semantics, I guess. If we use that, that's what's on all those pieces of paper.
That's correct.
It couldn't go wrong with the document.
And you want to stay on? The next one is page 21, college proposal 416.
This deals with a special program that we have in the college, predominantly in the Division of Communications and Humanities. And we hire on a limited basis, because we have certain restrictions as to the number of semesters that an individual may teach. And they get the same pay scale as our regular adjunct faculty members. And in addition, they have to abide by certain rules and regulations at the College of William and Mary. They have a mentor, and they have to take a course at the college itself. We think it's an excellent program of preparing future community college instructors. And it's a good partnership that we have with the College of William and Mary. John, since this falls in your area, this has been a very controversial issue, because people think that these individual adjunct faculty
misconception when this program was started last year, because this was part of a legislative initiative that the College of William and Mary submitted for consideration by the state legislature. And at that particular point, they were asking for about $150,000 in regard to this dreaming at that point. And they suggested that the fellows receive extra compensation for coming down from Williamsburg to the Thomas Nelson, and it amounted to around $2,000 per course. That was money coming through the College of William and Mary as a special legislative initiative. Well, you know that never got passed. But I think that that suggestion got out there regarding that the fellows were receiving quite a bit more money. As it happened, the College of William and Mary did receive money for an individual faculty member on a restricted appointment there to be teaching both at the College of William and Mary and to teach at Thomas Nelson, and as part of her duties to have responsibility for overseeing teaching fellows. And that was funded, and the college benefits the benefits from that. We have someone who is teaching English courses for us gratis, paid from the College of William and Mary. As far as the fellows themselves, they are restricted to a one-year appointment with us, and because that their duties consist of more than just teaching classes, but going through a series of professional development activities that is jointly overseen by the College of William and Mary and Thomas Nelson Community College, their salary is adjusted to the same as rank 2, which is the standard rank for all for minimally qualified adjunct faculty here. But they do not receive more than minimally qualified adjunct faculty here. They, during the period of the appointment, receive the same as minimally qualified adjunct faculty. The restrictions on that appointment, again, are for one academic year. During the term of the academic year, most of the fellows, in fact, complete all the requirements for the degree, and the requirement that they lack at the time of appointment is the completion of a thesis in the English department. They have completed all the graduate semester hours of the program, plus taken a special course on writing pedagogy and teaching to community college students. I might also observe and point out that the guidelines for handling the teaching fellows conform with all the guidelines or really requirements set forth by the Southern Association for Graduate Teaching Assistants.
Any other questions? Okay, if you'll turn to page 26. College proposal D3. I did look at it. Someone must have come in after that was addressed. Okay, page 29. College proposal D8. I think we addressed it indirectly, but I don't think that particular item can be distribution of.
I talked about the, if you recall earlier, I talked about the computers, new computers coming in and subcommittee that was created.
Okay, any other questions on that item then?
Has a plan been proposed, Dr. Belgian, whereby there are guidelines for who gets what? As far as upgrading, as far as older computers, as far as more advanced, what type of guidelines
All
are
of
being
these
established?
computers, unfortunately, are old to begin with. And as opposed to the 486s that are coming in. What happened was we ascertained the number of computers that were needed, number one. Number two, the amount of money that we needed to upgrade them. And number three, the network So we have ascertained that we will have enough computers to distribute to all faculty this, when the shipment comes in any day now. John, you've been working in this area of ETF and
First of all, unfortunately, any computer that has been acquired under any ETF dating way back to '87 is still the responsibility of the college to maintain and keep a working order. That's the problem. Sometimes if you look hard enough, you might find a shell sitting on a shelf somewhere where it's been used to serve other computers to get them in functioning order. The new acquisition, 85 some computers coming in, will replace a lot of the old capable 286s. Now, it's up to the individual components of the college themselves to decide what their needs are and what they want to do with this, with the replaced computers. Some will need upgrades, some will not. Some will need really major repair. But the needs have to be established by the using component agencies, and then we can just figure out then how are we going to fund any upgrade materials, sources, or distribute them on an equitable basis. In my division, the people in my limited PC repair program now with 4 students only in it can only do so much to provide that service. We're glad to do what we can. We're not looking for any of the distribution our way at all at this point in time.
Frank?
Yeah, I have a question with the wording in that paragraph where it said obsolete. If we could replace that word with something else like outdated, because when you talk about obsolete, you got several different types of obsolete, whether it's technologically obsolete or physically. In some of the cases, yours are physically. In other cases, they're technologically.
Unfortunately, there are many computers on this campus that are, quote, obsolete. Not in the eyes of Chev if they're a trust fund computer.
So
They're still supposedly maintained on our inventory. How functional they are as far as today's needs is another question. As I recall, Dick, we were originally planned that after 5 years to be able to assume ownership and do what we want, and then they didn't live up to that, right?
That thing's sort of been amended. We had to clarify that. 5 years was supposed to be the mandated period.
Don't know how to respond to it other than the fact that as it stands right now, we're responsible for those computers no matter how obsolete, quote, they are or how old they are.
Thank you. Okay, page 46, college proposal 6, 9. Any help?
I think I read the proposal's been around for quite a while. I think the chief and I have talked about it a number of times, and I think a number of constituencies on campus have asked for that. It's been basically a resource issue. Chief, would you like to address that? Tell me,
Basically, with that issue, until funds become available, we cannot do anything with it at the time. Once we get the funding, yes, we will do something.
I had a condition on that. The library is about to produce cards. We'll call them library cards, but they'll in fact be cards that are very close to what this is. It may be possible to somehow use these cards more than one way.
That is possible. However, it should be noted that the library cards that we have already purchased will not be photo IDs.
I know.
And
I have
that would be-
barcodes on them.
They will have barcodes on
So
them.
that's this. Okay, so you see what I'm saying? It's just, I guess, a small step to add the photo at some point in the future. It's something that we're all going to have to do anyway.
Okay, are there any items that have not been turned in that you'd like to have addressed at this point? Any other questions you'd like to have answered?
I don't have the number of the proposal. There is a college proposal in chapter 6 about write it down, that's not about it.
CP 6-2, page 42, page 42. I found that probably one of the most interesting ones I saw in the entire self-study. And unless we overhaul the entire evaluation process, and you know, it's interesting in terms of the wording of that, in terms of the effectiveness and efficiency, in terms of administrators, that, for example, if you were to have an evening housekeeper evaluating the dean of the president, it's very difficult, for example, just picking someone out, maybe someone like Bobby Bush working in the evening, evaluating Dr. Pippins. It's hard for him to probably clearly define the level of effectiveness and efficiency that Dr. Pippins, for example, as president, would be working at. Doesn't mean that you couldn't write a personality construct, and through the personality construct accomplish a personality rating. It might be rather difficult to get an effectiveness and efficiency rating, and there probably are a number of other paradigms that would probably be more feasible and probably easier to implement to get at the effectiveness and efficiency. So unless the entire administrative evaluation is done completely over, starting from scratch, and the constructs, which I would like to see done, I would like to see those constructs redone. But every time you get into the evaluation constructs, it's very difficult to get folks to agree with what they mean in terms of levels of effectiveness and efficiency. And I think that's what this is getting at, effectiveness and efficiency of the management.
We would like to be responsive to the concerns expressed by this question. We are concerned about the issue. We'll be looking at ways of addressing it. There are some real issues with the broad range, a wide range of people evaluating a person at a certain level. But we're also sensitive to the concerns of staff about the qualifications of people who evaluate them. So we will be looking at that issue.
I think the same issue may exist here that was being addressed with the student evaluation of instruction, is that there may be a need for some input response without it being an evaluation. So that may be a compromise that might be possible for us to do.
I'm curious with that statement. Repeat that one more time. Evaluation without being an evaluation.
No, I'm saying input without there being evaluation.
For what purpose?
For the purpose of knowing what type of information that individual has about the performance of the other person.
To determine.
To determine evaluation is still runs from the supervisor.
Next thing we're going to do is fix this.
Believe it or not, that was our last item.
I know, why should we go over there?
Are there any other you'd like to get on the table? If you didn't get Bobby,
Just one. I think perception is important. Perception is important. And it may not be efficient, Dick. But I would think it would be helpful to at least know or have some feeling that the college family has as to how they perceive each of the administrators. And when we talk about morale, I think perception is strong there. Because it's hard to list 1, 2, 3 morale.
Well, I agree with you, Bobby, but we're talking, I thought in this, effectiveness and efficiency.
Well, that's how you answer it. Yeah, I understand.
And that's what I read in terms of, at least in my discussions with folks, I understood that was more of an issue. The effectiveness and efficiency in context is what folks were trying to get at in terms of evaluation, rather than how well somebody related or smiled, or the effectiveness and efficiency that I heard out of that I was trying to be evaluated.
Well, see, another piece of that is it also says something about how people in the family feel about how people are monitored and evaluated in general. The fact that people are concerned about that says that maybe we can take a look at how we evaluate managers in general, so that level of concern doesn't exist. I mean, there are places where people put together teams to evaluate an administrator that include people from a variety of levels getting input. So we can talk about those kinds of things. What it says to me is that a lot of people feel that people are not evaluated equitably and fairly, and that perhaps they're not being evaluated equitably and fairly, so someone should take a look at that person that's evaluating them. So those are the kind of issues that we'll be looking at, and we may find another way to address that issue. So we're not going to ignore the issue. What we need to do is look at what is the best way to address the feelings, perceptions, realities of what's going on in this situation.
Let me ask Bobby from your perspective as director of self-study. Other than efficiency and effectiveness, what was the factors of evaluation that you looked for in terms of perception, other than effectiveness?
I think this was based on many of the comments that were made to the questionnaire, Dick, that questioned some of the capabilities of administrators. I don't know that it broke it down into efficiency or whatever, but mainly the comments, not the questions on the questionnaire, but the comments that followed to help explain. And I believe that we thought it would be helpful if administrators knew the feelings of some of their subordinates. Like maybe face-to-face, they don't really say what they mean. But if there were some type of evaluation, as an administrator, we thought they would want to know how people under them perceive them. And we also discussed that, yes, there are going to be some Bobby Bushes and some vendettas, but overall, perception would be important.
Well, we were designing a tool today. We were looking, we started to talk about our values. And a person could be efficient and somewhat effective and not be respectful of each or issue. But the reality is that should be picked up by others than the subordinates. The system works right. So that's the point I'm making, that there may be a number of ways that we can get at these issues. There's a certain way that people should be treated in their work environment. And if I come to work and I'm efficient and I snarl at you all day, maybe I do need to know that. I don't know if those are the kind of things that people are talking about. If you don't start to talk to me in a respectful manner, if I feel uncomfortable here. And one of my feelings is that people choose their vocations because it's something they would enjoy doing. So people coming to work feeling like I can't wait to get out of here. Thank God it's Friday every single Friday, and something's wrong. So we want to know how people feel about working in this environment, and then we will address those institutionally, and we will work with you to find different ways of looking at that.
Maybe I can just add something else. I don't think we were really looking at evaluation as being negative totally. I think we were looking at it in terms of maybe having an idea that in our evaluation we could put that in the evaluation somewhere, an open-ended statement or something. There's very little feedback that we at the lower levels are able to give to our superiors. So I hear us talking about negative evaluations. I'm not sure that that should be perceived as totally negative. There might be something in an evaluation that you can look at that might make you a better whatever, and it might be someone on the very lower level. And I'm not sure, I'll have to go back and look at my notes, I'm not sure that we meant everybody throughout the school evaluated. That may be the way it wound up in my report. However, I'm not sure that there couldn't be some way that we could have a survey of each administrator from those below. But I don't think you need to look at this as strictly being negative. I think you can learn, I think it's like faculty evaluation. We have to say how we're going to use them. So I think what we wanted to be able to do was to evaluate, and maybe a lot of good come out of it.
Well, there are evaluations where you sit down and with a supervisor, for example, talk about your objectives for the next year, and then you say to that supervisor, this is what I need from you in order to do that. And the supervisor says to you, this is what I expect from you. See, that creates, there are evaluation tools that we can use here that create that opportunity for conversation. And then if those tools are shared with the next level of supervision, that information is flowing up. So there are all kinds of ways that we can address this. So I appreciate
I
it.
think the fact that a lot of our self-study talked about communication, and there was that break in communication, I just think this was a way of bypassing communication, having some input if communication didn't get to the top. That's my perception. Anyone on my committee would like to say something different?
I don't want us to end on that negative note.
No.
We hear you, and we will address this issue. I want you to understand that, and there may be a variety of ways we can do it, and we'll solicit your support, but it is important. What you're saying is important, and we will respond.
And again, it wasn't just negative that we wanted to say. I think there was a lot, it was a positive part that we looked at in making this.
I never heard the negative part.
Well, I keep hearing, I always feel like that's what everyone thinks.
If you
of
all stand up, we
evaluation.
have this discussion. Is that what? I have a board member present.